We've been a leader in banking for more than 100 years. You'll find us here, at home, on your phone, and everywhere you go. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Sponsored by Renaissance Bank.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Journal Newsbreak for Friday, December 22nd. I'm your host, Chris Kiefer, and we're going to take a look at the top news and sports stories from Northeast Mississippi. But first, let's start with your weather forecast. Today we're looking at rain. That's a 60% chance of rain with a high of 70 and a low of 50. Looking ahead at your 3-day outlook, Saturday calls for partly cloudy skies, a high of 55 and a low of 37. Then it gets much cooler on Sunday, again partly cloudy. That high is 52, but the low drops down to 25. And on Monday, partly cloudy again with a high of 46 and a low of 27. Let's take a look now at today's top headlines. There continues to be a buzz in Washington, D.C. that U.S. Senator Thad Cochran will step down early in 2018. Cochran was first elected to represent Mississippi in the Senate in 1978. He previously served in the U.S. House. Republican Governor Phil Bryant said he will not engage in speculation about Cochran's future. Bryant would be charged with filling the vacancy and calling a special election should the 80-year-old Cochran step down. In an email response to a question on Thursday, Bryant said Mississippi is stronger because of Cochran's service, and he looks forward to it continuing. He said speculation about anything else is insensitive and unfair. Politico had a story on Thursday citing Republican sources saying Cochran would step down in early 2018. He has been battling illness in recent months and has missed multiple days in the Senate. Cochran's spokesman, Chris Gallegos, was quoted in the Politico story saying the Republican senator continues to do his work for Mississippi and the nation. Tupelo Mayor Jason Shelton's administration distributed checks to eligible police officers on Thursday to settle overtime pay violations. The action follows negotiations with the U.S. Labor Department. The city of Tupelo will pay about $857,000 in back pay. In mid-2016, City Hall discovered improper pay procedures within the Tupelo Police Department. Officials estimated that lax practices may have been in place for as long as 20 years. The administration has since installed new procedures, including an hourly clock to track hours. However, the U.S. Labor Department's Wage and Hour Division launched an investigation this summer after it had begun to receive complaints. Shelton and other officials met with a General Assembly of TPD officers on Thursday morning. The settlements for each officer were based on hours that were worked but not paid, as calculated by the Labor Department. About 119 officers are impacted by the settlement agreement. Those who are no longer with the police department will be contacted individually. Homeless outreach workers hope a recent tragedy will strengthen the community's resolve. Jimmy Fair was struck and killed by a car earlier this week. He had been a longtime fixture of the East Tupelo community and lived with no permanent home for many years. Fair was the second homeless man to die this year. James Dale Miller died in November. Most people knew him as Slim. Friends, aid workers, and city officials held a service on Thursday to honor the two homeless men who recently died and to commemorate National Homeless Persons Remembrance Day. The service drew large crowds. Tupelo Homeless Task Force Chair Hannah Meharry said she hopes the strong emotions in response to Fair's death can help build a wider coalition of support for the city's homeless community. Meharry said many opportunities are available for those eager to make a difference. That includes reaching out to local organizations such as the Salvation Army, the Saints Brew Breakfast Program at All Saints Episcopal Church, and area food pantries. Tupelo Outreach Coordinator Marcus Gary said the Homeless Task Force is always looking for new partners and resources, as well as willing hands. And in sports, the East Webster and South Pontotoc basketball teams are getting to experience some hoops history this week. Both teams are in Knightstown, Indiana. They will play at the Hoosier Gym, where the Hickory Huskers play their home games in the movie Hoosiers. After two JV games, the girls' varsity teams will face off today at 1 p.m. The boys will follow at 2:30. Michael Seeger, who coaches the East Webster boys and girls teams, has taken a team to Indiana once before. When he was at Hickory Flat, the team went to the Indiana Basketball Academy in Carmel, and they toured the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Seeger wanted to give his East Webster players a similar experience. Hoosier Gym hosts several games a year with teams coming from all over the country. Seeger couldn't find an Indiana team to play, so he asked around locally. South Pontotoc was eager to partner up. The teams left Wednesday and had plans to visit Butler's Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is where the championship game was filmed in Hoosiers. And that does it for Newsbreak on this Friday. Don't forget that this show is just one of many online offerings courtesy of the Daily Journal that gets you news off the page and on the go. Check out the Memo podcast for the latest on news and entertainment in Northeast Mississippi. On our latest episode, we talk with Dennis Sid about proposed regulations for Tupelo's food trucks. We also discuss possible renovations to the Lee County Library, Tab-Born Pottery of Manatachee, and the debate over the state Medicaid program. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or at memo.djournal.com. And each story discussed today on Newsbreak can be found in your Daily Journal or online at djournal.com, where you can also catch a new episode of Newsbreak each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Kiefer. Have a great Friday. And a quick programming note, we'll take a couple days off early next week for the Christmas holiday. We'll be back on Thursday, December 28th. In the meantime, have a Merry Christmas.